So a couple people when they were talking this morning, you were talking about, yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I heard a couple of the comments. Yeah, the first program of the year is the hardest. Yeah, I forgot this. Yeah, I forgot that type of an idea. So what this started out to be was it was just going to be an Android app, and that's it. But then I said, you know what? Let's just literally take it from the top and say, you were first semester Java people, period. All right, and you were supposed to do this. This is the one that you had. I literally just stole all the stuff from out of there. So what I did was, so far I built, I think, 5 iterations of this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there will be 5, 6, and 7. I'm in the middle of number 5 right now. But this is what I did. I first built this, like I said, thinking, okay, iteration 0, which is the one that you see up here right now, there's the comment, just make a bunch of junk, tell the person to enter an age, etc., and do the calculation. As you probably guessed, the problem with that is if you leave it blank or you put something non-numeric or whatever, or negative numbers, etc., you're not going to get what you want. So that was iteration 0. Kind of what and I kind of did this with the first year people too, but I went further with you guys. So then I said, okay, then what would I do next? And I said, well, at a minimum, I should come in here and I should, put this in a while loop that says if you put in a number that's technically, when you're doing this, I don't know if you went out and looked at the website that they showed out here, this website here. But if you go out there, what they say is if you're under 18 or older than 70, to find out your target heart rate and all this stuff in here, they say talk to your doctor. All right. It's funny because when I'm working out, I joined the Planet Fitness that's down the road, and I see people there, if they're not in their 70s, then they're really old-looking people that are younger than 70. But I mean, I see people that are in there that look a hell of a lot older than I do. And I watch what they're doing, and I mean, the weights that they're lifting, and as fast as they're going on the treadmill, it just amazes the hell out of me. All right? And I see other people who are a lot younger than me that are breaking every rule you're supposed to break there. Like when you're on the treadmill, they say, don't ever hold on. And there are people there, that's all they're doing. They're barely moving. They're just sitting there on that, they're using it like as a bad escalator or whatever. Those things that are like in the airport, yeah. All right, so I came in there and did this. And all these work, as far as I know at least, all these work. All right, then I said, well, the problem with that is it still doesn't handle the non-numeric. So I came in here with a try-catch block, and this handles the non-numeric. So in other words, if you put in something here that's non-numeric, all right, it'll catch it, and it'll just basically set it to a default age. So that was number 2. And with all that, then I said everything that was done till that point, there was just one file. In other words, everything was in target heart rate demo.java. But that's not the way that we learned. We talked about having demo files. So I took all that stuff and threw it out of a file, made my gets and my sets, and then came over and did a demo. All right? And overwrote the toString method, etc. So that's all done. And then finally I said, okay, so what's left? Well, there's a few things, but one of the things that's left was writing an exception handler, writing our own exception handler. So I wrote my own. All right. So basically what I tried to do in these first 5 iterations was the equivalent of go through everything that we went through in Java 1. All right. Did I succeed? No, I'm not done yet, because I'm in the middle of trying to put it into an applet, but it looks goofy no matter what way I do it. It doesn't really look like an applet. So I kind of threw it out, and I've been starting it all over again. So I was doing that while I was working on the actual Android app, which right now doesn't work. All right, and looks really, really ugly. from nothing to everything. Right, right, right. And Mike knows this because he's taken some classes through Udemy. But to me, some of the Udemy courses that I've taken that are the best, literally that's what they do. They have you build something, and they basically they come along with the idea when you start that you don't know anything, and they just build up and they build up and they build up and they build up. All right. Again, the program that we're going to be doing, and I don't think I've got it here. I think I've got it. No, I didn't bring my flash drive, but it's on the flash drive, and I don't think I've put it on here any place. I can check. No. But the one that we're going to end up doing, not in this class, but the one that we're going to end up doing, as I started to mention to you earlier for the other class, for the DIP class, is basically the reason I asked you to do that is it's going to be like we're sort of, for lack of better words, we're kind of in a club. All right? And this is, I'll just show you real quickly what it's going to look like. All right? Just use this and get rid of what's up there. So up here, depending on what page you're on, all right, this is either going to be an admin page or it's going to be a movies page. All right, this is a thing I had you do this morning. And if it's admin, all right, what that's going to do is it's going to have, it'll have in here, when you click the admin, it'll have a list of users. All right, and you could, when you first start out, of course, it won't have a user. All right, so let's say that you chose, all right, so you chose John, and let's say there were 10 of the rest of you in there. So as soon as you choose John, what's going to happen is John's going to be up here. The other 9 people are going to be down there because you can change it at any time. All right, and then if you choose John, what you're going to see is you're going to have, this is going to be kind of broken up like this. There won't be a line there, but this is your content area in here. These will be all of the movies that John likes, and these will be all the movies. I'm sorry, these will be all the movies that John likes, and these will be all the rest of the movies. All right, first I had the top 100 movies, but it became so unwieldy to try to manage that, you know, and it's like, it's kind of ridiculous. So that's why I cut it down to 25. All right, and I'm basing this off of one of these classes that I took online. All right, but, and then there's like a little wastebasket here. So if he decides that this isn't one of his favorite movies anymore, he just throws it in the wastebasket, and then it leaves there, it leaves the list here, and it joins the list over here. Does that make sense? And to build it at first, to build the pages, they'll just be HTML5 and CSS3. That's it. All right. Then we add the PHP for some interactivity. Then we add the MySQL to actually make it work. All right. To make it interactive. All right. That's not it though. Then when we get done with that, then we go in and we add jQuery to make it more interactive than it currently is. But the idea was it would give you a chance to bring together, hopefully, everything we've done for the entire semester, or for the entire 2 years, basically. All right, so that's the goal. I've got it about half done. All right. And just so you know, I didn't know if I was going to say this or not, but you're the only people I'm going to tell this to. I'm not going to tell this to the first-year people. Over the weekend, one of my best friends died. And was totally unexpected. He's 47 years old. I don't know any of the particulars yet. They're being unbelievably secretive about it. To be honest with you, he was a really good friend probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and we kind of lost touch because our kids played sports together and stuff. So I don't know what happened. But once I do, once I find out, he died Saturday. So I don't know if they have the funeral Thursday. I'm not going to be here. I'm taking off. You know, it's the last time I'll be able to see him, and I really haven't kept in touch with his wife or anything. His kids have both moved. They live in the Chicago area. So, but, so I've been a little out of sorts for the last couple days between that and the weather, but that's not an excuse. Everything will get done, okay? And I think this will be pretty cool. You know, I'm hoping at least that it is. Now, are we going to get 100% of it done? Is it going to work exactly the way I want it to work? Nothing ever does. But if we can get that done, one thing I was even thinking is if we can do that, even spend maybe 3 weeks on that or something like that. But if we do that, then if somebody says, well, you know, could I work on this for my project? I'd like to actually add an admin system. So, you know, you'd have to log in as John Wanda. All right, that kind of thing, and that would be fine. All right, so we'll be able to do a lot with this, okay, but it won't be totally complete regardless. Okay, it'll be functional, and I think it'll be pretty cool when it gets done. All right, with the stuff that I've been putting in it. So, and I'm trying to, as much as possible. That's the other problem. When I've been writing it, I keep throwing out the PHP and trying to make it object-oriented PHP because that's what we're doing this semester. All right, and that doesn't always transition really well when you get rid of, you just, I'm going to throw out this code and I'm going to replace it with this. All right, so that's been a little bit interesting too. And all the database stuff that I put in, that's all object-oriented. So if you don't know this, I think I mentioned it before, but last semester we did stuff like this: MySQL I underscore connect. All right, and that I is for improve, but that's still the procedural way of doing it. And there is also like this, and that's the OOP way of doing it. So I'm trying to, that everything that I put in here, I'm trying to make it object-oriented as much as possible. All right. So like I said, what I did was with those first 5, and I know that's not going to help you with what you're working on, I get that. But with the first 5 things, 5 parts of that iteration, that's got that's the heart rate stuff, version 0, version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. What I'm going to try to do by Thursday is do version 5, and version 5 was the applet, and then version 6, which is the Android app. All right? And I'm about halfway done with each of them. I will tell you right now, the Android app ain't going to be pretty. All right? I did some work with it. I was working with, doing some work with images, and I was just Googling the hell out of stuff. And it's funny because you can go to different sites and they say, oh, if you're going to use these images, for your LDPI and your HDPI and your XHDPI, etc., you make them this size. Then I went to another site and it was totally different. And some of them give you actual pixel amounts, and some of them give you like things where they say do this times 1.3, do this times 1.5. So it's been, like I said, it's been very interesting. But ideally, what I'm telling you, and you don't have to do it right now, you don't ever have to do it, but if you get a chance, take a look at these first 5 iterations that I put in there. There should be nothing in there that surprises you. There should be nothing in there that's new. All right? And I wrote it and I went back and rewrote part of it. So, for instance, normally if you've got a set routine, you pass something in, but I didn't pass anything in the way that I wrote it. So you could make a case with some of the stuff that's in here, well, you should have done this. I'm not going to disagree with anybody on any of that. All right. So ideally, yeah, you asked. So what the rest of the period today was going to be lab, and Thursday we'll pick it up from here. And hopefully I'll have those 2 to show you. And then for the other class, well, I don't know how people are doing in there, so I was going to ask. But one of the things that I thought of doing was going over the example that's in chapter 3 and have us kind of do that one as a class and see if that helps or doesn't help. There's 2 or 3 different ways that you can do auto layout, and I know Anders had asked about this the other day. And working with auto layout is an animal into and of itself. It's very, very interesting, and I'm still learning. But I thought we would go through that one today and take a look at it. And then the idea would be, hopefully that'll make some sense, and then between now and Thursday, try to take that, the example that I put out there with the guessing game, and try to put auto layout on that and have it lay out so it looks nice both in a portrait and in a landscape format. All right. What I've got is I've got chapter 1 from that book that we did. That's done. Chapter 2 is done. Chapter 3, the first half is done up to the auto format. All right, but I couldn't go any further because that's when my sound stopped working. All right, and like I said, when I tried it this morning, it worked fine. I haven't done anything other than it's been put away for 2 days, so I don't know why it would start working now and why it didn't work before. And you can ask my wife how happy I was because I didn't know that the sound didn't work until I'd done the taping. So I did the first half, which was like 38 minutes, and I did the second half, which was about 40 minutes, and And I started playing the second half, and it was like, yeah, the video was great, but there's no audio in it. Some people would say it would be better that way, but I would think that it would be a little harder to follow that way. Yeah. And like I said, I worked on it. I did everything I could think of on that, and there's nothing. And I didn't change anything. I taped the first part from about 8 till 9, and the second part from about 10 to 11. There's nothing turned on or off, nothing reset on it during that time. It just that my dog was going nuts, so I stopped between tapes and played with her for a while. And that was the only thing, but I didn't turn anything off. So why it stopped working, I have no idea. Yeah, damn dog. No, it was Friday morning, so it was before we had any storm. No, that's your call. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know if his tape is even worth putting out there, but I'll put it out there anyway. So I mean this one that we just because I'm taping right now.